Welcome to the Mind Rebel podcast. The Mind Rebel Academy is a human development institute devoted to cultivating grounded, emotionally intelligent, relationally mature humans through coaching mastery. Our work centers the inner world, where real and lasting change begins. My name is Taryn Watts, founder of the MRA, and I'm here with my colleague and dear friend, Michelle Theriault. We're so glad you're here. So a couple weeks ago, we were at our Sunday family dinner at my parents' house, and we were having this conversation. My brother was talking about, he was reminiscing about the days when he's in real estate now, but he was reminiscing about the days when he was a high school teacher. And we were talking about how busy kids are these days with activities. And, we were talking about all the stuff that our kids are involved in and the stuff leading up to Christmas and the concerts and all the things. And my brother started to talk about how, teaching as a profession has changed so much over the years because of how involved parents are in their children's, elementary, high school, and I've even heard of college, university education. They're just so deeply ingrained and involved in their children's lives and their activities. And he had all sorts of opinions about that we were talking about. And then the conversation naturally shifted to the economy and the world we're living in and the people's jobs. And then we started talking about AI and how much things are changing. And then we started talking about currencies and Bitcoins and how our currency will be worthless one day and everyone will be on these Bitcoins that I don't even understand. And just the conversation went on and on and on. And my dad at one point in the conversation just sat back, looked at us and said, I am so grateful that I am not building a career or raising children in your era. He was like, yes, there were challenges in his era when we were young and there were certain challenges. What his reflection was the complexity of what we navigate, what this generation, what this era is navigating is so, it's so wild. And the pace of change is so fast. He just was so grateful. This is not his era. And we laughed, but that really stuck with me. And not only did that stick with me, but I started to think about this pace of change and what this will be like for my children, our children. I was imagining myself, an old lady, listening to my kids and their spouses and their siblings talk with my grandchildren running around just, in the position my parents were in. I was putting myself in their shoes and I'm probably going to think the exact same thing. Thank God I am not navigating what you guys are navigating because I am not built for this much bombardment of change and complexity. And it really got me thinking about there's no escaping this. I mean, you can simplify your world in so many different ways, but this truly is the era we're living inside of. And if I even think about AI alone, Michelle, we use AI a lot. I mean, we've probably scratched the surface of what's possible with AI. But when I think about how integral AI is in what we do today in the Mind Rebel Academy and how much it supports us and helps us and how we didn't have that tool 12 months ago, this time last year. And I think, oh my gosh, what will it be like in 12 months from now, in 24 months from now? It's just the pace of change is moving at a unthinkable speed. It's almost hard to wrap your head around. It's hard to catch up. There have been moments in the past where I've just wanted to press the eject button on the craziness of all the things and all the change and all the pace of life. I don't even know what the eject button means. It's just was I made for this time? Was I made for this planet? I don't know. But again, I'm just coming to this deep realization. It's not changing. It's just speeding up. There are so many things that are completely and utterly out of our human control, like our singular human control, that it makes me want to reach for the things that are in my control of how I can relate to this pace of change and how I can just like engage in life and how I want to engage life as it's moving this fast.
I think there's even a third element in there. So it's like this wild change, also the pace of things and the pace of the change. And going along with all of this change, because so much change has happened in the realm of technology, and it's just opened up so much possibility for people. We're so connected in these ways where you just have access to so much. Every human has access to so much information. You can travel around the world. Everybody is connected, and you get to see millions and millions and millions of examples of careers, ways of living, cultures, family structures, ways of parenting. It's also the amount of choice that we have to navigate now. So it's like this crazy pace of change. And there's so many choices. So many choices. I read this book probably a decade ago called The Paradox of Choice. It's on my shelf somewhere. It's a yellow book back there. This is a decade ago. It was talking about how we might think, yes, more choice is more freedom. And that's a wonderful thing. And to a certain extent, or not even to a certain extent, but from a certain perspective, that is true. How cool that I can choose from a million different types of food, like grown anywhere in the world, like anything. I remember my mom telling me when they were young, they'd get oranges in their stocking because that was such a luxury thing for her in the winter, like an orange. And now just think of my children are like, can we get some dragon fruit? Like, I want to try that. It's like the strawberries, the oranges, whatever. There's just so much choice. And so on the one hand, that is so cool. But the paradox of choice, it was a long time ago, but the overall essence of the book is with all of this choice comes so much decision fatigue, having to choose. And the more choice you have, the more you can perceive the potential for making the wrong choice. When you have no choices, and there's only one way to go, you're not second guessing. Have I gone the wrong way? Have I made the wrong choice? Have I not maximized my potential? Am I not fulfilling my destiny? Is this not, if the less choice there is, there's a certain kind of peace with that, less second guessing your choices. Oh gosh, do I ever feel that? Well, like you mentioned, I so often long for simplicity. I very much have moments of romanticizing previous eras. Like I've said many times, I just want to curl up in my house with a fire, and I want to collect my own eggs, and I want to turn off the internet to the house, and there's nothing to do but, read books, and just like simple things really call to my soul these days. And I think that a lot of that yearning for simplicity is a true yearning. And I do think I do and will continue to endeavor to find more simplicity in my life by like allowing like a sifting to occur of really quieting down the noise that I don't need and releasing the things that I don't need, because I really and truly do not feel like my brain and my nervous system are built evolutionarily like geared for this type of pace, this amount of input. It feels a little bit incompatible. However, this thing that I'm realizing, and I think you're kind of touching on too, is that you can't just shut the world out blindly. You can't just say, no, I'm not going to be involved. I guess you could, but then you really aren't participating in the current world or the world your kids are moving into. And it's almost like, in order to simplify my life in a really aligned way, I do need to be present for at least some of this, feel it out for myself, find my own internal alignment in relation to it. And then I can, try to keep moving in as clear and simple a direction as I can. But I think that urge to just press eject, I have that all. I don't even know what it means either. It means lots of things, but I feel that too sometimes. And I think that in order to simplify to the point where I feel like I can really thrive, I can't bury my head in the sand to get there. I can't ignore the change. I can't ignore the choice. I have to first be present to it. And it is just, that's a lot. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's the very, evolution of the world, like the very world we live in that has like given us this choice. The reason we believe that coaching skills, coaching mastery is becoming one of the most essential human skill sets of the decade in this era, in this time, is because the antidote to the pace and the level of change and the bombardment of information, the antidote is, like you said, quieting down the noise of the world and going within ourselves so that we can discern our own truth. We can, with all these choices, with all this, even just if you think about social media, like this lifestyle, this person doing this with their children, this person doing this with their career, this person traveling to this location. It's just like constant bombardment of what is possible and what we could be doing if we, whatever, fill in the blank. It's just constant bombardment. And these conditions of the world that we live in are naturally pulling us away from ourselves. It's pulling us out of ourselves and into the complexity of this world. And the antidote to not getting lost in all that and losing who we are is to turn inward and come back inward towards ourselves so that we can discern what's for us and what's not, what we're yearning for and what we're not. When it's time to turn off the noise and go, and reset our bodies and our nervous systems and be with ourselves, and when it is time to go engage. But if we do not have a mature relationship with our inner world, we are operating on autopilot in our outer world. And again, because the outer world is becoming more and more complex, like never has there been a bigger call to this inner work. The price we pay if we don't, it's precious. We pay a precious price for that. Our relationships suffer, our lives, like our livelihoods suffer, our bodies suffer, our health suffer. It's like this is the time when we need to turn our attention inward more than ever before, more than any other time in history, simply because of how complex our world has become.
As you're saying all that, I'm, thinking about myself. And then very quickly, my mind was going to the teenagers, thinking about my daughter navigating this, this big high school and all this social media and the different things she sees and wants to kind of try on for herself, whether it's like, the way she does her makeup or hair, her clothes, or what's cool. I'm watching her try on all these things and to find what she likes. And I'm just thinking how much this whole generation of young people are going to need to be equipped with a connection to their own internal world and their own internal compass more than ever. And maybe every generation can say that now more
Right.
than ever, now
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
ever,
Yeah.
but it feels really true. I just think about everything she's exposed to. And I imagine her walking, out of my house into this world with all this choice and complexity. And I just think, gosh, the number one thing right now in this moment, I'm realizing I need to want to instill in her and make stronger and stronger is her connection with her own internal world, understand how her emotions work, understand how to discern between the type of fear that is telling you, no, 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 that's bad, versus the type of fear that she can lean into and overcome, and how to discern what her true desires are. Those
Mhm.
things are not automatic
No,
for
they're not
people to
intuitive.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
What that really is making clear in my mind right now is that in order to hand that down to them, I have to keep at this. I have to keep leaning in and mastering this for myself, practicing, 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 so I actually can teach them.
It's interesting that it's not intuitive to know what it is that you like, what it is that you feel, the emotions inside of you, the difference between like true intuition inside of you and fear. We can spend a lifetime getting to know who we really are inside and what it is that we really want. And the next generation, like the challenges to know what they want and who they are greater than our generation, Michelle, our childhoods and, what we were bombarded with and what we weren't bombarded with. This is what coaching does, right? Coaching helps someone to sift through that noise and to hear the voice of their inner leader, their inner teacher, however you want to call it. And so that you can make choice for yourself, that you can discern your truth versus someone else's truth, or what's for you and what's not for you, so you don't get lost in all of this. Michelle, what does it look like for you when you are disconnected from the inner world and just completely, utterly immersed in the outer world, out of connection with yourself?
It looks like I'm in a little dinghy, frantically rowing, trying to keep up with the millions of little outside demands, and I'm not doing it. I'm not keeping up. Like, I think about the email inbox just as it relates to kids, and I just think about the number of emails I get from the school. And you're talking about, sports and school things and all these things, and these little demands make it through into your inbox or from your kids or from a friend or family. There are these requests and these demands, and this is happening at this time, and your kid should be in something like this, and your kid wants to do this, and we should go here. And, having a good Christmas or a good summer vacation means doing these types of things. Like, all of these messages make it in. And what it looks like when I'm disconnected from myself is I'm frantically trying to satisfy all the requests and do all the things that make it into my inbox. This year, as you know, my son was just a bad flu. It took him out for quite a long time. So he was home and he missed all of the prep for his Christmas concert. Like, he didn't get to practice with his class, and he was finally going to go back to school. And he was like, "Mommy, I can't go to this concert. I don't know what they're doing." And his dad, was like, "No, you can't miss any more times. Got to go. Got to do Christmas concert." And luckily, I just had a moment where I did go inward, and I kind of, turned down the volume on the outside noise. And I really felt into, is him showing up for this Christmas concert? Like, is that really important to me, or is it really important to him? And the answer was no. And so I said, sure, like, let's skip it. Let's skip your Christmas concert. And sometimes Christmas concerts are lovely, and it's so cute when kids just love it and are proud. And you get, I've watched some concerts that I've loved for my kids, not all of them, but some. And so I think when I'm disconnected, I am just trying to do all those things because I love my kids and I want to do my best. Not only do I love my kids, but I care about relationships and my work and my animals. And so there's going to be a million things to do. But there will be always, I think, more demands than there is actually energy for and alignment for. And so being able to press pause and go inward and discern and figure out what you can actually let go of, that is the lifesaver of all lifesavers for me right now, trying to navigate things, I also think sometimes there's some things I have really good intentions about are really important to me. Like, gosh, right now, after, people have been sick, and always, I really value health. I really value me and my kids, like our bodies being healthy and well nourished. And it feels really good to me when I make really healthy meals. Like, there's a type of satisfaction in that and joy in that. And also this sense of like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Like, this type of relief that comes with, having them eat like great, delicious home cooked meal. But even sometimes that really good intention that really is a true value, sometimes that can get weirdly distorted, or maybe we've had an insane day, an insane week. I'm exhausted. And there's a part of me that feels like I'm failing because I didn't remember to thaw out meat and I don't have the groceries. I don't even know what I'm going to make. And there's a part of me that starts going down this train of like, okay, I'll drop kids off. I'll get the groceries. I'll frantically make this thing. Maybe I'll make it to bed by I don't know what time. And again, those are some moments. Sometimes I don't catch myself and I just have a crazy evening. But when I am able to catch myself, is sometimes there, I can pause and go, wait, the world isn't going to end if we order a pizza. And when I do catch those moments and I have that check in and my insides say, no, I am too tired, even though you think it's really a wonderful thing to have a healthy home cooked meal, I'm too tired right now. And if I can pause and I can listen to that voice and I can access the possibility of just ordering a pizza, the relief that washes over me in those moments of, oh, thank God. And that's my own standard. It's not even the outside's world standard, but sometimes I can't even keep up with my own standards I've created for myself. But being able to pause and check in with whatever plan I've made. And when the truth is, I can't keep up, we need to take an easier route, and listening. Oh my gosh, it's like the most soothing, wonderful, joyous thing. And it feels very empowering too in those moments to remember. Sometimes I say to myself something along the lines of, wait, like I'm the grown up. Who do I think I'm going to get in trouble by if I don't keep up or if I don't make this meal? Like I'm allowed to choose to order pizza, or I'm allowed to let the kids stay home sick because none of us want to get up and leave the house. Like I'm allowed. What's really going to happen? And that feels very empowering to sometimes sprinkle those little choices in and realize nobody got mad at me. I have gotten calls from the school in the past when they've like, I don't know, missed too much, but it's all working out okay. And I'm actually the boss and I actually can say no to those things. And my whole world doesn't fall apart. And my kids' bodies didn't fall apart because they ate junky for a week or something. So yes, this ability to connect to the truth in me in the moment and remember I have the authority and the power to choose. It is the life vest to navigating all of this pace and complexity and choice and just, yes, the list of demands that make it onto your computer and probably onto your phone, which is probably in your hand. And so you're holding this little box in your hand for half the day that's dinging with demands, calendar requests and school things. And that's a lot. You need some sort of strategy or life vest to be able to navigate that.
Yeah, totally. Everything you described, I'm like, yes, I relate to completely, and what it looks like to be disconnected. I think in work contexts for me, like everything in parenting, I can completely relate to. In work contexts, it's a to-do list that literally runs off my page, and an inability to actually, truly prioritize and really discern, is this really important? It's just too much. There's just too much to do. There's too much coming at me that everything has an equal level of importance and it's going on the to-do list. And sure, maybe I can prioritize, okay, this is the next fire I gotta get to, or this is the next thing. I can move through my to-do list like that. But it's only in times where I can disconnect from all of that and orient my attention inward, get really honest with myself, hear myself, like my real self. Can I actually look at that to-do list with really clear eyes and say, no to that. No, that is not necessary to do. Or that deadline, you know how you say, like, no one's going to get mad at me. Like, I've been an entrepreneur now for, I don't know, 7 years. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm my boss. So I actually get to make up a lot of these rules. Like, I actually get to push back on my own self and my own goals and say, no, that's not necessary. Or no, that's for next year. Or no, that's to be prioritized later. But when I'm in the loudness of the world, and the busyness. And that's what it feels like. When we're talking about this, I can viscerally feel what it feels like to be oriented out in the world. Like in that way, it's busy. My shoulders are tense. There's a bajillion things to do. My to-do list is running off my page. My days are planned out and scheduled out to the minute, like to the second I go to bed, And it's not just with work. It's with the kids. It's with the housework. It's with the making dinners and driving schedules. And it's just, it's too much for a human body to handle. That's what it is. It really is. It's too much for a human body to handle, for a human mind to juggle. I shouldn't say any human. It's too much for me, like for my human. I think there are people who thrive. I'm thinking my husband, so Sean, he's got ADHD. What he can juggle and navigate and the way his brain works is very different than my system. And the pace at which he can go and the things at which he can respond to and jump to, I'm like, whoa, it's like it's his superpower. I'm not built like that. It's just this pace is just too much. But when I'm in it, I can't think clearly. Everything is urgent. I cannot truly prioritize. But it's incredible what can happen when I just spend a bit of time with myself, when I take some time to journal in the morning to really check in. How am I feeling inside? What are the sensations happening in my body? What are some of the fears that are creeping up? What are some of the urgencies that I'm feeling? And just without trying to fix something, without trying to control everything, just allow myself to touch in with my inner world and my emotions and my feelings and, the limiting beliefs that are coming up. And it's incredible the clarity that can come out of that, and the new lens, the new perspective, the new way I can see my to-do list after I've given myself that space. That's self-coaching, right? That's just knowing how to self-coach. It's the same thing after having an hour coaching session where someone's holding space for me so I can hear myself, so I can think, so I can touch in with how I feel. It's just incredible, the clarity that comes from that. It's also incredible. I'm realizing how much of that I actually need. I need a lot of that. A lot of that. My son the other day, I have a very, 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 some would say strict. I would say this is my lifeline, but I have a very consistent morning routine. And it is the most sacred time of my day. It is my favorite time of the day. And it's the hour and a half of journaling I get every day because I wake up an hour and a half earlier than I need to start moving my body. And the other day, my son was saying to me, he's like, Mom, what time do you go to bed at? And I said, oh, usually I'm usually sleeping by 10. And he's like, and you're up at 5 a.m. every day? You're not getting enough sleep. You need to get more sleep. I'm like, yeah, oh, Coop, I think I actually do need to get a little bit. Would 8 hours, a good solid 8 to 9 hours would just be luxurious and lovely. And he's like, you should stop getting up early. I'm like, oh, I would rather go to bed far earlier than to stretch out my sleep than to wake up later, because this time, it's everything to me. When I don't have that time, I'm operating on autopilot, but this is my self-coaching time. This is my time to tap into what I want. This is a time where I can prioritize for the day. But first I gotta be with myself to be able to even see that clearly. It is so crucial. And again, the busier the world gets, the more of that I need. And it's, again, the very environment that I'm living in that's trying to pull me out of that. It's this discipline to know that without this, I am not a good human. I'm not a highly functioning human. I'm not the best mother I can be, the best partner, the best coach, the best leader. I'm not. And I know that about myself. And so this is truly my doorway back to myself each and every day. That's what I need. I need a connection point to myself each and every day.
I think if you find the world a lot and I find the world is a lot, I know we're not the only ones. I know so many people just find the world and the pace of change and all the choice and the noise. I find it a lot and very overwhelming. And You have this really great lifeline. You know how to self-coach, connect to your inner world, connect to your inner compass, help you to, realign and navigate. So many people don't have that, right now to anchor back into. But I just think about, it's really incredible that me with all my overwhelm, you with all your overwhelm, whether or not we have coping strategies or not, whether we know how to realign or not, it's really a wonder that people can all kind of come together in teams and manage to actually function at all. Like that's a really cool and amazing thing when you think about it. Somehow people are relating and connecting all over the place in all sorts of different ways. And it's really just hitting me how maybe I need to like go back and take a slightly more positive spin on this. It's just really hitting me how we just bring all of that with us into every interaction, every communal space where we are. And, for you, there's this whole other layer of, for many, 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 many years, that's all you were doing, turning your coaching skills towards others, holding space for them, for one-on-one client students. And it's evolved now into you're holding this team at the MRA. You're not just turning your coaching skills inward, aligning yourself. You're also, really holding a whole bunch of people who are trying to manage through this crazy world. And I'm curious, I think I partly know the answer to this in some ways, but I'm also like really curious for you to just very honestly elaborate. Like, what is that like for you holding this team of all these people who have all of this like crazy and overwhelming preferences and idiosyncrasies? Like, what is that like for you? And how do you do that and harness, like coaching skills we're talking about in that capacity?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great question. In order to be a leader of a team, I think this is true about a leader of a household, a leader in a classroom as a teacher. Like, I think the word leader is broad. It's not just leading a team. I think this is true across all leadership roles. Like, I see it as I have this team to lead. And if I am not well led within myself, I am leading this team in complete and utter chaos. It actually gives me a greater sense of responsibility to lead the MRA and this team. That is part of my purpose and mission in this world. It's like I feel so much purpose and fire behind that to be able to build this company and run this company and lead this team of the most incredible humans. And it is so evident to me that if I am not leading myself first and leading myself well, I will not be a good leader to the rest of the people on this team. That will show, like that will come out, that will manifest in certain ways. Retention, the burnout within the team, friction, just like the culture itself. And the team we've built in the MRA, it just truly is extraordinary and it truly is different. And I'm not taking credit for that. I think that the humans that are here are just like, I bow down to the humans that are here and have chosen to be a steward of the MRA and our philosophy and our work. And my job is to be so well led inside of myself that none of my crap or none of my projections, my own limiting beliefs, my own limitations fog how I see people, how I help my team members like step into their potential. Now, that's not to say I'm perfect. I am not, and I have limitations. Leadership has invited me to grow enormously over the course of my career with the MRA. But what it does invite me into, and this is, again, a core principle of coaching, is I'm constantly looking at my own stuff. Constantly. I am constantly turning the mirror inward to look at my fears, my limiting beliefs, the perspectives and urgencies of my guard, the false self that I've created over the years that wants to control, wants to move everything forward, wants to protect. in the fears of my rebel mind. This is the language we use in the Mind Rebel method for people who are not familiar with it. But it's essentially these false selves that we all have inside. And if we're not aware of these false selves, they're running on autopilot. And Michelle, like, you would never survive in the MRA if my guard was in charge. You would be long gone. You'd be so repelled. You'd be so disgusted. You'd be so, oh my gosh. Like, I don't think I could keep anyone, because she could like work everyone into the ground. She's fierce. It's just like being a parent. I see it the same way, truly. I have like this incredible responsibility to these humans that I lead, love, serve, and lead, that I need to be my own leader first and make sure the right version of me is leading the way, like the truest version of me. And that the voice of my inner leader is making choices, is discerning right, wrong. Yes, let's do this project. Nope, let's not do that. Yes, this is an alignment. Nope, that's not an alignment. Yes, this is a good fit for this person. Nope, not a good fit. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if I don't have that touch point with myself, which is, again, probably why I do need that time in the morning to connect with myself, because when I'm in my day-to-day and things are busy and coming at me, talk about inboxes and to-do lists and demands and things to do, and that inner voice gets quieter and quieter the busier I get. And so like that time in the morning is the time where that inner voice is the loudest of all the voices. And I can hear her leading. I can hear her choosing, deciding, prioritizing. No one else can do that for me. That's my responsibility. And that's the energy I want leading our team. That's the energy I want as a mother leading my children. It's the energy I want as a wife. You name it, like fill in the blank. That's the energy I want leading my life. That's how I see it.
I think there's even another layer you might be being slightly humble about. Everything you're saying is like, I know that that's true. And what you're describing is the foundation of what it means to be a good leader. But there is a whole other layer that expresses out of that you do as a leader. I'm just thinking about, I'm having this little flashes of moments come through my mind of like things that like we've all thrown at you, things we've been like, Taryn, and some of them are MRA related, some of them are personal. I'm just thinking about all of the different personality things, emotion things, fear things, clashy things that we've all thrown at you. And I think about all the moments you have, just whether it's me or other members of the team or a group of us together, where you have held the space to walk us from some state of upset back into alignment. You've done that many, 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 many times. And that is a very significant and specific skill set to be able to do. You're doing something real and masterful in all of those moments. Could you speak a little to that side of things?
Yeah. It's coaching, it's these skills. This is the same whether it's a team member or if it's my child or if it's a client, it's the same. So let's use the team as context, because you're right. Like, as a leader of a team, you're navigating all sorts of complexities and all sorts of personalities and preferences and emotions and their fears and their hopes and their dreams and their limitations. And it is complex. It's like another layer of complexity, of lived complexity in life. And so you are right. So step one is, if I can't lead myself well, if I can't be, in alignment and right with myself, I can't navigate what you just described, because it's just too much. It's like, I've got my own fears and my own preferences. It's like, I think I would be a terrible leader. It is that very foundation that gives me the capacity for a team member's insecurities or fears or very challenging conversations that I've had with all team members. That is what gives me the capacity to hold that. And it's my coaching skills even though I'm not in a traditional coaching session with an employee or with, a coworker. I can't even call you guys employees. That sounds so funny. It's like my colleagues, my coworkers. But it's like something goes off in my brain of, this is a coaching moment. When someone brings forward a fear, it's like tender, or brings forward a frustration, I can't do this, or this is not working for me, or, it's like, this is a moment not to push back or to get angry or to meet them where they are. This is the moment my leadership hat goes off and my coaching hat comes on. This is where I lean into curiosity and powerful questions and holding space and presence and helping the person in front of me move through the true things that they're moving through, because what they're saying is just surface. It's like almost doesn't even matter what they're saying on the surface. You got to get to the deeper layers of like, what's the fear here? What's coming up here that wants to be expressed, and what needs space to be able to express so that that person can find their clarity. Here's the thing. I trust my teams. I trust their inner teacher. I trust their inner leader. And I trust their truth. I see my job as helping them to get to their truth. So in those moments where I put my coaching hat on, I'm just helping them get to their truth. I don't know the outcome. I mean, Michelle, there was a time where you were having a moment in the MRA where you were like, it was around the time where you were transitioning roles, but at the time we didn't have another role for you, but you knew you were done this particular role you were doing. And I remember the emotional upheaval you felt in the recognition and the declaration of, oh, this role, it's not mine anymore. It's not for me anymore. And at the time, again, there was no other role for you to go into. And so I remember a lot of emotions, a lot of tears, a lot of holding space for. But my job was, I trust you. I trust you. What you're saying, it's like surface level. It's like what you're expressing, but you needed me in that moment to hold space for you to get to the truth of what you wanted here. And I really trusted, and I remember saying this, I trusted that if your inner leader was leading you out of the MRA, I trusted that, even though I couldn't imagine an MRA without you, but I really trusted it. And I wasn't trying to control you or contort you or make it fit in my vision of what I thought it should be. Like, I really trusted you. And my job in that moment was to hold space for you to find your way back to yourself and, to make your own choice. And then, the rest is history. And look, we were able to develop a beautiful role for you where, it was an alignment for what you wanted and how you wanted to serve the MRA. But there's been also conversations in the past that I've had with coworkers, because again, I can't say the word employees, but coworkers where the right choice was to leave the MRA. And I have so much love, like so much love for their path. And there's no funky energy because it's my responsibility to do my own inner work, to clean my inner world up so that I don't attach funky energy to that.
I think the way you bring that coaching mindset into the relationship with all of us, like individually and the team, you relating to us and the team that way, it also creates very cool, special culture within the MRA. Like, I think sometimes I'm just in it so much that it's normal and I don't think anything of it. I'm like, this is just the way we function. And then every once in a while I pull back and I look at the culture here and the way we interact and the way we problem solve and the way we move forward. And it almost takes my breath away. Like, it's really exceptional what having that stance and that coaching mindset does for the way we work internally. It's really cool. Like, I think about the way that, you gave a great example of, like people finding alignment in roles. And I think about more and more every single month and year that goes by, the team shifts more and more and more into alignment in our roles. And then therefore we become better and better. And,
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, I can
feel
see,
that.
I can see the way we're all kind of blossoming. And then the MRA just, oh gosh, we just get shinier and it's so cool. And I also think about the way we solve problems and move through challenges. I think we do such a good job of that on so many levels. I mean, like more individual problems, also the big, deep questions of, the direction of the entire MRA or like any like business related problem, I think about the culture you've created for us to not be scared about problems. Instead of whether it's me saying, Taryn, I don't feel good about this, or if it's something happening in the MRA, like somewhere in our numbers, financial numbers, or like, enrollment numbers, we're realizing, gosh, these numbers are painting a picture. We need to look at this. What does this mean? Which direction do we go? How do we market? All of these things, you've created a culture where instead of resisting, being afraid of, trying to patch, or trying to force, any of these problems, you've created a culture where we're all inclined to just look at it head on, not hide from it. We feel it out, we process it. And I think that hasn't reduced the number of problems we encounter. But gosh, when I look back over the past few years and look at all the obstacles thrown in our path and look at the way we've leaned in and processed it and transmuted it and moved forward, I think that's really cool. Are other people doing this too? I'm sure there's a lot of amazing teams, but I'm like, oh, I think we do it really well. I'm so proud of the way we've processed things. And I also think about something that always sticks in my mind. So many of our students who come from like a very, very corporate world, whether it's government or, corporate, so many of them have said something similar about putting on like their like work hat or like their work mask, and like that's their work persona and that's who they are there, and it can get exhausting. And some of them are really, really good at it, but there's just this acknowledgement of, I'm not my full human authentic self there at work in the same way that I am with my family and friends. And I think, whoa, I can't even imagine needing to gather up the energy to put on that sort of like, I don't want to say performance, but just to keep up that like different persona. Because for me here, I think I might be more myself here than anywhere, or at least as much. It's not like I'm not myself anywhere really, but the version of me that you and the MRA culture invites is the deepest, truest me. And I think that's really special. I don't think I could thrive well without that. I think that might be the thing that makes the difference of this being an environment for me. But I bet you this would be true for so many people, where it would be so hard to really thrive somewhere and to really feel at peace somewhere if you couldn't be your real, whole, true, free self. Like, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine what it would be to work in another environment now that didn't have that. I'm so spoiled. So when I pull back and I look at this culture that you've created, I think this is so exceptional. Like we are so lucky.
I appreciate everything you're saying, and I completely agree with everything you're saying. And it's nothing like magical or mystical. Truly, what has created this culture is having the mind of a coach. These skills that get infused into leadership, that create high functioning teams, and teams where trust and intimacy and honesty and authenticity, like there's space for these things. And that just, talk about loyalty and like employee retention and like harnessing the power of employee creativity. Like these are things we have in abundance here. There is no shortage of any of that here. And it's just pretty basic coaching skills that have fostered this culture, truly, truly. And I see it, and I know that because I see how our alumni who are leaders in organizations, I see what they're doing on their teams in more corporate cultures or even in some bureaucratic. And of course, there are certain limitations that they have, but I see what they're doing with their teams and the chemistry they're fostering and the culture they're creating. And they are literally changing culture. That's what they're doing. And there's more and more of them. And when I see that, I think about how there's these change agents, all these organizations and all these government agencies, and one by one, they're leading their people, those they love, lead, and serve differently, and the ripples that creates. And again, it's all powered by coaching skills, coaching mindset, coaching mastery. It's like fueled by that. And it's exciting to see the change that can be created. We're talking about leaders right now, but again, I keep coming back to parenthood, and I'm even thinking about teachers too, because everything I just shared, there's no difference in my brain between, of course, the way I relate to team members is, functionally different than the way I relate to my children. But when my kids are coming at me with all their demands and all their preferences and all their, if I am not connected to myself or leading myself well, I'm reactive. I'm way overstimulated. It's too much. If I can be connected to myself, I can take my mom hat off for a moment and put my coaching hat on and ask powerful questions, hold space for big emotions, be with them when they're having, tantrums or fits or whatever it might be, to help them come home to themselves, to help them reorient to what's true for them. And that's just creating a culture even inside of homes. I'm also thinking about one of our alumni. Her name is Karen. You know her well. She's an elementary school teacher. And we have a couple elementary school teachers in the MRA alumni fold. And they're just like, every time I talk to them, I'm like, oh, I want you to be my child's teacher. It's just the love and devotion and passion and dedication they have for those children is just on another level. And it's the rules and the systems and the bureaucracy of the school boards that really bog them down. But their hearts when they're in the classroom are just, it's unbelievable. But Karen in particular, she's coming to mind because she was the teacher of one of our family friends' son. And a couple months ago, Sean was talking to a friend of ours, again, whose son is taught by Karen. This friend of ours was in tears talking to Sean about his child's teacher and the impact that Karen, knowing there was a connection there, the impact that she has made on their son's life, and how all these teachers have closed the door on this child and have made assumptions about this child. But Karen, this grown man in tears, talking about this teacher who has taken the time to hold space for this child amongst all the other children in her classroom, who's taking the time to listen to him when he's having an outburst, to hold space for him, to ask him powerful questions, to give him the care and love that he needs in the classroom. The growth they saw in their son in that 1 year. This was close to the end of the year, so they were so sad that he wasn't going to have her next year, right? I reached out to Karen to let her know this conversation had taken place, because this is like these skills in action and the impact these skills make in all these various settings when we, lead ourselves well and then help others lead themselves well, whether they are a grown human that you lead on a team or a 6-7-year-old child in a classroom. Like a human's a human. And it's just like the ripples are so impactful. And I hope she's listening to this. I hope Karen's listening
too.
to this.
Oh my gosh, you didn't tell me that. Oh, you didn't tell me that story.
Yeah.
No, and you made me cry.
I cried when Sean told me too.
Oh my gosh. I think that makes me emotional for multiple reasons. One, there's just that feeling as a mother of feeling like someone is supporting your child and they feel safe, and such a beautiful thing. And also just knowing Karen and who she is and how she sees kids, and that makes me really emotional because she's such a beautiful human and a beautiful teacher. And so you didn't tell me that story before, but I am not surprised at all, because I've had that yearning, that wish to the universe so many times, like, oh, please let my kids have a teacher like her. There was this super brief moment in time where my kids went to the school she taught at. She was
Oh,
never their
wow.
teacher, and I didn't know her then. Our paths never crossed then. But I just thought, like, oh, please let them get someone like her, because with a combination of genuine care, right? When you have it in your heart and you really do care, whether it's about kids or, what group of people, and you mix coaching skills there, what that does is you create a space where someone actually feels safe. What I mean by safe is not just like, yeah, I'm safe in a way where, generally I walk through the world and go to the store and my kids go to the school every day and they don't say they're unsafe, right? But I mean deeply, deeply, deeply safe, where you can let your guard down in a way that you don't do when you're out at school and people are looking at you and you're supposed to be a certain way and follow whatever rules and fit in or please the teacher or get whatever. I think that's really rare, that type of safety. And that type of safety is the only way you can foster the truest, deepest, realist human connection, where people feel like seen and loved and cared for. And it's only when you feel safe like that and really seen for who you really are, and then someone sees who you really are and thinks you're wonderful. Oh, oh no, why am I getting so emotional? That's where like kids can develop like true confidence. That's where real self-esteem is born, you know?
Yeah. And this is why I believe with my whole heart and soul that coaching skills are the most essential skill set of the decade, because that can't be replicated by AI. That can't be done by a robot. That is just, is there anything more important than that? Thanks for tuning into the Mind Rebel podcast. If you're craving a space to go deeper into explorations like these, visit themindrebel.com to learn more about our flagship program, The Mind Rebel Method. Whether you're feeling the call to become a world-class accredited coach, or you're simply yearning to live a life more true to who you really are, this is where your next chapter begins.